Welcome to Dream and Do, a podcast for women who are chasing their dreams, rediscovering who they are, and are ready to make changes, big or small. I'm your host, Nicola Ray Wickham. Join me for confidence pep talks, soulful insights, and practical tips on all things creativity and wellness, along with powerful conversations with women who are dreaming and doing in action. This is the stuff you're going to wish you knew years ago, but don't worry, it's not too late. Let's get started. Hey loves, how are you? It's been a wee while since I've been on to record a solo episode and I have missed them. As some of you will know, I'm on a little bit of an in-between between the season 1 conversation series and I'm currently recording season 2. But I'm finding myself with so much to say. I've not done a solo episode in a while. You guys always respond really positively to them. And like I said, I've got lots to say. So I thought I would jump on and do a few solo episodes. This one is all about soulful marketing. Yes, this one is going out to all of the brand owners, business owners, those that are aspiring to have brands, and maybe you are worried about your marketing, or more likely, maybe you are knee-deep in it. This episode talks about my approach, which is soulful marketing. So I need to give a little bit of a backstory to this because it's not something that I have really talked about on the podcast before. I know I've done episodes that touched on social media, and I know I talk about kind of branding and showing up, but not under this terminology, umbrella of soulful marketing. And this was a fairly recent-ish change for me. So those of you who are in my Facebook community of dreamers and doers will know that there's been a recent shift for me, well, over the summer, in my message. Also, those of you that receive my weekend letters by email will also know this. But after experiencing all of the resistance, I looked into that a little bit more. Because resistance, I believe, always has a lesson for us, and the resistance will manifest in different ways, and then it's our job to work out what it means. I think there's wisdom in the resistance. I think that there's something within it that is trying to impart its knowledge onto us. It's almost those nudges that we've ignored along the way until they suddenly become like a toddler having a tantrum and they just stop. They just stop the cogs from turning and everything just feels really sticky and difficult. And then it manifests itself in procrastination and ninja-like avoidance tactics. It's that desire to do something but not quite taking the steps to actually doing it. And then instead finding yourself overthinking, over-researching and under-believing. So now I know you're probably thinking, right, Nicola, but where's the wisdom? Well, the wisdom is that this resistance is trying to tell you something. It's either trying to tell you that this thing just ain't for you, which is cool. And it could also be trying to tell you that you just need to switch things up, to loosen some blocks and then take some action. So for me, over the summer, I realised that it was the latter. And so I switched it up. And the shift that was required for me was in my message. And some of you might really identify with this. Actually, in fact, I know you will. I basically needed to give myself permission to bring my whole self to the table. So when I was in my 9 to 5 in my corporate career, I spent 15 years as a marketing professional. And when I stepped out into doing my own thing, I kind of vowed to leave that in the past because I kind of felt like that was the old me. But I realised that it wasn't the old me. Like, I love marketing. I'm fascinated by human behaviour. I studied sociology at university, the psychology of people, why they do what they do, what motivates them. I love it, but I love it when I can do it and teach it my own way. And what I was finding is when I would sit down to have sessions, like style sessions with clients, or would be working with clients one-to-one, what they were coming to me for was, yes, working on their self-worth and them becoming more of themselves, but also how to bring their idea to life and how to get it out there, how to do the marketing piece. And I hadn't really connected the dots, even though in those sessions, that's exactly what we'd be talking about. It would be a mix of all of those things. And I realised that they were definitely partly coming to me for my branding and marketing expertise. But I was resisting it because I felt like, no, that's the old me. And I'd made this kind of decision and declaration. And because of that, I felt like I needed to throw away that part of myself. But actually, I just needed to give myself permission to admit it and to realise that it had just been a belief and a story that I had told myself. Because what I know to be true is when I work with these women to grow their heartfelt, purpose-driven, mission-led, core-centred, meaningful, kick-ass brands that are going to change someone's world, that absolutely lights me up. And what I know is that the soulful marketing is a piece of the puzzle. It's them becoming more of themselves. It's them being able to be in a position to feel like they can share that with the world. It's them actually having the idea and moving forward with it. And it's them getting it in front of the people who need it, in front of the people who want to buy it and listen to it and wear it. So maybe there's something that you need to give yourself the permission to do as well. And where I would love you to start with that is to ask yourself kind of, what beliefs are you holding about yourself that are holding you back? Maybe it's that you're not capable, or you're not enough, or that you never finish things, so what's the point? And I get it, and it's okay. There are so many reasons why we are where we are now, but it doesn't mean that we have to stay there, right? And so I'm really excited to share with you this part of my shift and part of the evolution of my creative mentoring work in the form of soulful marketing. I'm going to explain to you what soulful marketing is and how you can start to take that approach today, right now. How do you feel when I say the words marketing to you? Often I can see the physical reaction in people. I can feel that instant shift in the energy where they might have been talking about their idea and everything is just kind of all exciting. And then I'm like, right, how are we going to get it out to the people? And everything just gets a little bit fraught and heavy. And I can feel them recoil away from me. It's like you have the dream and you've got this beauty of an idea, and in your mind you vision all the people listening, using, wearing, buying your product or service. But there's that piece in the middle that doesn't really get the attention until it needs the attention. And you don't really want to be giving it to it. That part about how you're going to get it to them. And it's that part that I help you, encourage you, support you into falling in love with. Okay, so you're not going to fall in love with it as much as your idea. But once you can enjoy that process of creating those connections with people, then that's soulful marketing, because soulful marketing feels good to you. first and foremost, and it's still connecting with your people. So let me roll back 1 second. What is marketing? Marketing is simply sharing your stuff, your product, your service with people who are interested in it. When you're doing it soulfully, like I said, it feels good to you and it feels good to the people that you're connecting with. What I want to do is to create that bridge and to make your marketing feel dreamy, because it feels like part of the process and part of the experience, because it is. It becomes part of the gorgeous vision that you have for your brand, because when you can see yourself doing it and you're enjoying it, it becomes a whole lot more easier and a whole lot more natural. After all, as a owner, founder of a small brand, you're already fulfilling a million roles, it must feel like. You're being accounts, you're being design sometimes, you're being logistics, production, research and development, HR, and even if you're outsourcing those, you're still overseeing them. And marketing, especially in this digital age, it's such an intrinsic part of your business. I don't think it can be seen as a separate function. And when you take the soulful marketing approach, it just becomes part of what you do. It can be part of that research and development, part of that production, part of everything. So I'm going to talk you through some of the pillars of the soulful marketing approach. Can you tell how excited I am about this stuff? That should have been a clue that I should have just been talking about it openly and not just in client sessions, right? So I've just touched on this, but it's such an important point that I have to reiterate it. And that pillar is dreaming. The aim is to make your marketing feel and be part of the dream. So you can see it as vividly in your mind as you can see the other stuff. So I'm all about visioning, having a really strong vision of what you want to create and daydreaming on that baby a lot. But now what we're going to do is add the marketing piece onto that daydream, because when you can see yourself, and I'll use doing a podcast, for instance, as your method of communication, you can see yourself doing the thing, and you can see your ideal person, your ideal customers and clients receiving it as part of the process. So it just starts to feel a lot more organic. We do need to have a few things in place before we can get there, but this, my loves, is what we're going for. Second pillar, you. Yes, it's all about you. Was that a Busted song, or I can't even remember, but that song is literally playing in my mind as I say those words. And coming back to you, starting with you, is what helps us to be able to do our marketing in a seamless way, for it to be soulful marketing. And it's so funny because this goes against my traditional marketing training. With that, it's all about perception. It's all about looking outward. It's all about looking at the customers and what is it that they want and what is it that they see, which is totally valid. But when you're a small brand owner, you can't operate like these big corporate businesses. Like, we're not Coca-Cola, so why are we trying to operate like them? When you're a small brand owner, it's about you. It comes from you. And I believe that you start off by turning that light inwards, focusing on how it is that you want to show up, focusing on what's important to you. For some of you, it might be helpful if I talk about liken it to like a personal brand. You might not feel like your small brand is a personal brand, but it's those principles that help you to stand out more than trying to copy the big boys. So while you might not want to be the face of your brand, I get that, but we want to see your face. We want to see your beautiful face. We want to connect with somebody, and you know it and I know it. We love that human connection. We love to see other people. So that is really important, but that's only the start. That's really lending itself to giving your brand loads and loads of personality, making sure that it has some values, thoughts, opinions, and experiences to share. And you have all of that. It's just about getting it down on paper, formulating it for yourself, and then sharing it. From getting vulnerable to being real, it's about deciding the stories you are willing to share and how sharing them is going to help your audience get to where you want them to get to. That's how you create that two-way communication. That's how you create the conversation. And ultimately, you are your competitive advantage. So it's reconciling with that. I'm not saying that you need to go on there and share everything. No. You share with what you're comfortable with. You share with what you've come to terms with yourself. You share what fits within your brand's narrative. But that brand narrative needs to be personable. And I feel the best way to make it personable is to make it about you. So those of you that buy into the notion of the soulful marketing approach will be feeling a bit excited about this, maybe a bit nervous as well, but excited that you have this place to express the values of your brand. And ultimately, you are purpose-driven, mission-led, heart-centered people, and with brands that reflect that. So you have values, you have opinions and thoughts to share. And this is just about shining the light on all of those things, because it's that part of you that makes you stand out. The third pillar is also called you, but it is you dash how to communicate. And again, I'm shining that light on you. So we all know there are so many different communications channels. There's so many different ways that you can find and talk to your audience. But where I start, again, is with you. Starting with, how is it that you like to communicate? Is it that you love to write, but you've never really allowed yourself to kind of go there? Is it that audio is your thing, and so maybe a podcast could work? Is it that you love to get on camera and you're brilliant on video? Is it that you're really creative and visual and you could come up with really cool images and stills and films? It's about finding your thing, what method of communication lights you up, and rolling with that. It's not about listening to those people that tell you you've got to be everywhere. Like, I love me some Gary Vaynerchuk, for those that don't know. But he talks about being everywhere. But Gary's got a whole team, like a whole agency. And when he didn't, or when he talks to people who don't, he kind of advocates not really sleeping, which, you know, isn't going to work for all of us. But I also believe that you can be successful and you can create the impact you want to by going deep on a method of communication that you love. Because going deep on what you enjoy means you're actually going to do it. You're going to do it consistently, and the joy that you have for it will shine through. And remember, if we go back to the previous pillar of being you, if you're using a method of communication that is just speaking to you and sits so right with you, it will be easier for you to flow and be more you. So some of us have multiple communications. So for me, you guys know I love this podcast. So audio is most definitely one for me. I do a fair bit of live video as well. And writing is becoming more of my thing. So I kind of split them between the three. But if someone said to me, I could only choose one, it would be this. It would be audio without a doubt. So everyone has to have one. That is a caveat. If you're a brand owner, you need to communicate with your peeps. You need to choose one. Or you have to at least have one that you love enough to go deep on it. You can't say, I don't like audio, I don't like video, I don't like writing, I don't like visuals. It's like, well, how are you going to communicate then? And even with the notion, if we just take video, there's so many different ways it can be done. It doesn't mean you have to do a live on Facebook every day for an hour. You might want to do short, snappy Monday videos or something, but you become known for 5-minute videos. So there's ways of making it work, but in choosing that method of communication or methods of communication, we are focusing on you first. The third pillar of Soulful marketing is about connection. So for me, when somebody is struggling with the notion of marketing because of all of the negative connotations it might hold, I might say the word, and in their head they're thinking about junk mail, they're thinking about phone calls that they're getting that they don't really want, they are thinking about a sleazy car salesman, all of those kind of things. Like I said, marketing is just sharing your stuff with people that are interested. But two other words really, really help in terms of when you're thinking about doing marketing soulfully, the essence of what they are. So the first one I've used so much already in this podcast episode, sharing. And the second one is connection. Connection. If you place the focus of your marketing on connection, you are well on your way to marketing soulfully. So rather than focusing on the numbers, the followers, the metrics, they have a place. I'm not going to say that I ignore them, but the intention behind your marketing activity is to connect. We could call it connection activity, if that sounded a bit smoother, right? But the metrics that you can measure yourself by, or the intentions you can set for yourself, are how deeply are you connecting with your ideal client? What are the ways that you can create that connection? How can you share to help them trust you so that you can have that connection? And again, I know that you, as that purpose-driven, core, heart-centered, mission-led brand owner and founder, this will be speaking to your soul, because I'm getting all excited now. This is why you set up your thing in the first place. And I am telling you now, take it as a permission slip if you want to, but you can frame your marketing this way. You can attract more clients this way. You can create a community this way. You can get to sales this way. And what you're doing is sharing and connecting. Like, what could be better than that? And I hope you see there how it can then become part of the overall dream. The fifth pillar of soulful marketing, or my soulful marketing approach, is probably the one that could be deemed the most controversial. And it's one of the ones that I like the most because I think it's the most freeing. And it is to find your own formulas. So no doubt, as a brand owner who has been in the game, doing the business for maybe 1 to 2 years, and is feeling a tad, a lot overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information and advice that's available to you. Maybe your inbox is overflowing with well-meaning advice and information, some of it good and some of it not so, but you're feeling pulled in a million directions. My soulful marketing approach requires you to do some work on yourself first, so that when all of this information is coming into you, you're able to be really discerning. You're able to shine that light back on you, and you're able to make a decision on what is right for you. And what I love about this soulful marketing approach, and what I'm really trying to show you, is that it's not just about that outward focus of your clients. It's also about you. It comes from your heart, just like the idea and the principles and the vision for your brand comes from your heart. The way that you then communicate that to your audience comes from your heart too. And as part of the soulful marketing approach, I then share with you tools that you can use for self-reflection so that you can get to know yourself more and get even deeper into what your brand means. So it means that when those opportunities are coming your way, which I know they do quite a lot, you're able to discern what is and isn't right for you at any given time. And of course that evolves. At one stage you might be feeling like you want a one-off session. At another stage you know that you want one-to-one. Another stage actually you feel like you could benefit from being in a group. So you are able to kind of ebb and flow and go into it with a clear sense of self. So instead of being like a rabbit in headlights, running from car to car, unsure which way to turn to kind of get the hell out, you have a sense of what you need, and you can balance that decision with your intuition, your emotion, and that deep sense of self and what your brand needs at that moment. So you can start by journaling on it, asking yourself that question: what do I really want, and where am I holding myself back? This is absolutely a starting point. Then get some time with whichever course of action you're thinking of going deeper on. If it was me, for instance, then reach out for a clarity call, because we can get on the phone and go through it, and then I can kind of basically do a mini mentoring session in that time and help you come to that place of knowing with some clarity, with lots of clarity, what it is that you want. And it might be different than what you first thought once you've really been given the space to kind of open out and open up. But it's really helpful in allowing you to find that place inside you, because I believe that you have all of the answers you need. You have them, but sometimes it just helps to have that self-reflection, whether you're doing it for yourself in your journal or you're doing that with somebody. But as part of the soulful marketing approach, it means that you find your own formulas. So yes, there are tried and tested strategies out there, but it's about cherry picking, finding what works for you, and then putting it together with all of the other pieces. And I know those of you that resonate with what I'm saying are called to do things your way. You don't want to be like all of the masses doing all of the same things. You want to do different. You want to do different in the cause of your brand, but you want to do different in the way that you do it. I love that with the soulful marketing approach, there are so many parallels between the heart-centered, kind of mission-led nature of your brand and the way that you do things. And maybe up to now, you've been trying to fit into a box that you see out there of all of these formulas, but it's just jarring. And it's jarring because it's not truly aligned to the way that you want to show up. And it's not feeling good. And you know what? It's not to say that this soulful marketing approach is not challenging. It's not causing you to get out of your comfort zone. It absolutely does do that. But it's with that layer of knowing yourself. And yes, I will push you to experiment and to try new things, because you know that's where the magic is. But it's also, there's this overlying really real sense of, I hate the word empowerment, but it fits in so many cases, and this one it most definitely does. You feel empowered to take ownership of your marketing. And I know you're like, but I'm not a marketing professional, I don't have the experience. With the soulful marketing approach, you have the experience, because you are the brand owner. And there's just these pillars that you work within so that you are able to become the expert of your brand, which is what you are, my love. The sixth pillar is about slow marketing. This ain't no snake oil kind of something. This isn't a promising you 5K in 5 days type of stuff. This is about nurturing real relationships. It's not about quick fixes. It's about learning and unlearning. It's about loosening and unblocking. It's about finding your flow and cultivating those connections. And you know, when they say that starting your own business is the biggest personal development journey, that's what it takes, especially for soulful marketing. Because as you've seen through everything I've talked about, it comes back to that self piece. And whether it's mindset, which it is quite a bit, kind of your frame of mind as you're going into it and carrying it out, but also the way that you're actually doing the marketing and what you're sharing and your intentions for sharing it. You need to do some of the work on yourself. But the beauty is that with soulful marketing, you can do it in tandem. You can share the journey, and I'm not saying you go on and share everything, but it's tied into your brand. So it's all kind of this holistic approach, but it's recognizing that there are no quick fixes, and it's about nurturing those relationships and getting out there consistently, sharing your message, your voice, taking up space, and talking, writing, dancing, your thing. That leads me on to the seventh pillar, which is visibility. You gotta get out there. People need to know that they can buy. They have got to be able to see you. So once you have the other parts figured out, you get out there. You keep sharing, you keep connecting, and you keep being more you, because that's what creates that connection. That's why people then go for you over other people. That's why people then start recommending you. I can't even express it enough. And I hope you're feeling this. That is soulful marketing. So I hope in me talking through those 7 pillars, it's given you a real flavour of what soulful marketing is. And I bet that there's quite a few of you listening to this that are already doing a lot of that stuff. You already have that as a kind of principle for the way that you do business and the way you promote your brand. The soulful marketing approach as a whole brings it all together and absolutely ups the ante on it. But I have to say that this happens alongside some of the more traditional marketing practices. So of course, it's about who you're talking to. You would have heard me reference ideal client throughout this podcast, and it's really who it is that you are talking to and want to be talking to about your product or service or offerings. It's about what you're saying to those people, when you're saying it to them, and where they're hanging out as well. And what I love about the soulful marketing approach is that basically with all the channels that we've got now, we've got that choice of writing, of audio or video or visuals, and you then look at where your person's hanging out, and you can then move your method to where they're hanging out. And if you're finding that there is some of you might be like, but I hate where they hang out. If you hate where they hang out, then I'd kind of question if they're your ideal client. Because remember, we are creating a dream of the whole process. And if your ideal client is hanging out on LinkedIn, but you hate LinkedIn, then they're kind of maybe not your ideal client. I'm just saying I would need to know the ins and outs of your situation first. So if you want to discuss that with me, just hit me up on Insta in the DMs or send me an email. But yeah, it follows those traditional marketing practices as well, because that overlaid with the soulful marketing approach, and you are on fire. So I'm sharing this with you because I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to finally bring it all together under an umbrella and have it as a explicit offering as part of what I do. And the work is, it's not just to say soulful really flippantly, but it really, really is. It's that twofold attack almost on life and brand, on self and brand, on you and your brand. And it really comes down to that connection to yourself and others. So the first place that I'm really kind of going in on this at the moment is with my Dream, Do and Flourish Mastermind. It starts on the 1st of November, and we'll be going deep on all of this stuff, setting you up to really have a handle on your marketing, getting those clients coming through the door, connecting with them and feeling good along the way, because you can't forget that I also, part of my work is about self-care, the wellness piece, and creativity. You would have seen creativity is massively part of all of this because it comes back to you. Soulful marketing makes the art of self-promotion a joy. Yep, I said it. Whether you identify as an introvert, you hate talking about yourself, you come over all hot and imagine kind of that sleazy car salesman all up in your face when you think of self-promotion, soulful marketing actually makes it a joy. So by the time you've been through my approach and you've done the work, you can't wait to get out there and share. You forget you're even marketing. It's just such a natural part of the way that you do things. So if this is speaking to you in any kind of way, if you have an idea that you want to bring to life and you want to get it out there in front of your peeps, or you have been in business for a couple of years and you had all of these visions for your brand, and when you took the leap and took that very brave step into doing this thing, you had all of the feels about it, and just over the last year or so that has just started to dissipate and feel heavy, and you've lost the ability to feel like you can achieve those dreams, yet you're still so excited about your brand, and you're getting stuck on your marketing, then this is for you, because we will absolutely go in there, shake that all up, reinvigorate it, and give you back that spark that you had, that sparked the idea in the first place, that made you take that big brave step in the first place. As I said, we start on the 1st of November. If you want to join me, then check the link, the show notes, because there'll be the link to all the information. Put me a DM, email me, and let's get this happening. If you feel like the mastermind isn't for you on this occasion, that is absolutely fine. You might want a one-off session or not, but stick around because I'll be sharing so much that is going to help you moving forward with things just feeling a whole lot easier and you getting those results and making that impact that you deserve. Right, my loves, it felt good to be back in this solo episode mode. I put a call out on Insta Stories a couple of days ago, and I have a whole list of other topics to be covering as well. So I'll come back to you with those really soon. In the meantime, if you've got any feedback for me, hit me up on Insta and all of that stuff. And now all there is to say is thank you for listening. You are amazing. You are more than enough. You are more than worthy. So go out there and dream and do. See you later. Thank you for listening. It is so appreciated. If you like what you heard, help your girl out by subscribing on iTunes and leaving a review. And I'll be picking out a reviewer each month to receive a very special affirmation card and print pack. So get over there to get yours. Sending you love and light as always, and I will see you really soon.